Okay, well, hello everyone, and welcome to Screen Time SOS, empowering families in the age of TikTok, Roblox, YouTube. I'm Jack, the marketing lead at Carrots&Cake, and I'll be moderating today's session. We really appreciate you being here. Managing kids' screen time and ensuring that online safety is more crucial and challenging than ever before. Today, our speakers will equip you with the practical strategies and insights to help navigate these digital challenges. Throughout this webinar, if you have any questions whatsoever, you can scan this QR code, which is menti.com, which allows you to drop us any comments or questions as you go along. Alternatively, if it's easier for you, feel free to just comment in the Zoom chat, and we will answer those questions for you. Fantastic. So we are thrilled to have two incredible speakers with us today. Firstly, Meredith DePaolo from Carrots&Cake. Meredith is a graduate of Yale University, where she helped develop the communication skills of inner city school kids with a program called Reach Out, Speak Out. She worked around the world as a journalist and TV producer, namely for CBS News, HBO, and Bloomberg. She's been part of two successful television startups. She's lived all around the world, including New York, London, Dubai, and Southeast Asia. She has two little girls, and her family's experience during the COVID lockdowns led her to create Carrots&Cake, the first science-based parental learning app that focuses on elevating kids' screen time, which was named a top 2023 startup by TechCrunch. Next, we have Jessie Liew. Jessie is the founder of digital parenting coaching and mother of four. Her previous career included working as a cybersecurity specialist, where she protected clients from the harmful effects caused by online hackers and predators. So over to you, Jessie.
Hi, my name is Jessie. So basically this webinar is for you if you are a parent who are concerned with the following: your child's screen time, your child's gaming, social media, YouTube, and internet addictions. And you're also concerned about your children's internet safety. And further, if you also worry because you have lack of connections with your children. And these are the challenges most parents face in this digital era. Your children are glued to the tech devices and spending long hours on their smartphones, tablets, and computers, gaming, watching YouTube, and social media. And the second challenges you have is usually your children refuse to listen to you and follow your instructions, no matter how many times you have a talk or try to convince them. And sometimes many parents told me that they felt that as if their children have been possessed by these devices. You do not know how to parent your child with these technologies. And back then, when you were growing up, your parents don't have this problem. You have no idea how to do this as you have no one to refer to. And basically, you felt helpless, frustrated, and angry when it comes to your children and their tech devices. And the more you try to control or limit their screen time, the more they wanted their tech devices. And they ended up having meltdowns, throwing tantrums, fighting back, and resisting you. You hate this technology so much, but you can't take it away because it is part of the children's life. And schools are also moving to technology-based learning. Some schools, they're also adopting hybrid learning. So which is some part is on learning and some part is offline, which is the physical classroom. So you just can't figure out how to fix your children's screen addiction. And many of the clients face these problems initially because they are not sure how to deal with their children with these technological devices. They are using the same parenting style their parents use on them, and it does not work anymore. And the second part is Many parents do not know how addictive these devices are. And they do not accept technology is going to stay, and it is time to figure out how to live with it. And they are also not aware of the specific and more superior shaping habit systems that will allow them to shape their children's habits, mindset, and character to allow them to use technology for their passions and talents. Back to you, Meredith.
All right. Well, thank you. That was very interesting. And I think I check every single box that you just mentioned, which is why I founded the company Carrots&Cake alongside my husband. I think I probably have a lot in common with not only you, Jessie, but probably everybody who's tuning in for this webinar. I'm a mom. I have two little girls, and over the past few years, they've been exposed to devices and internet and computers like never before. You know, when they were really little, my husband and I were very conscientious of trying to model good behavior, not feeling like being distracted and looking at our phones all the time, or handing them a phone to keep them quiet, what I call a digital pacifier. But then, you know, the pandemic happens, the lockdown happens, we have to educate the kids in our home, and devices become super important. And suddenly we found that screens were required for socialization, education, recreation, all aspects of our life and their life, even though they were only 5 years old and 6 years old, started revolving around the screens. And while my husband and I both, you know, really believe in technology, we really think that, you know, kids do have to have a firm grasp on it, we were not prepared when this refrain of just one more minute became constant around our household. Our polite and happy kids started throwing tantrums when screen time ended, and we found that screens were controlling us rather than us controlling the screens. They had this grip over our family that was leading to me, you know, to pull my hair out. So we started to try all the parental control apps out there, you know, reading a lot of books and things, and we just found what was on the market lacking. Most of the time, the screen time controls, they just didn't work. You know, ultimately we found them to be not really much more than timers or monitoring devices that let parents sort of spy on what their children were up to. And that wasn't the dynamic that we were looking for. We wanted to be able to address the screen time dilemma in a way that accounts for kids' lack of self-regulation. You know, their prefrontal cortex, it develops until they're age 25. They don't have the same control over their impulses and emotions that we do. They're not able to put devices down. We wanted to develop something that would affect their behavior in a positive way and allow them to learn how to self-regulate it. You know, when we were looking at Carrots&Cake, we approached it from wanting to cure the screen time problem rather than just put a Band-Aid on it. And I just want to say right here at the top, anybody who's watching today, you're going to be able to download us from the App Store and try us out for free to kind of get an idea of what I'm going to be talking about. So another thing I want to say right off the bat is, you know, this stuff with screen time, it's not a fair fight. And when I talk to parents, and the way I felt about it initially is, you know, a lot of parents feel a lot of guilt and parental failure around their kids' behavior and screen time. It feels like the problem is unique to you, to your kids, to your family. You know, you feel like, oh, you know, I handed a device over, now I've waited too long, I'm not going to be able to put the toothpaste back into the toothpaste tube. You know, the problem's gotten too big to manage. Parents feel hopeless and they're blaming themselves about it. And I just want to say right off the top, do not ever blame yourself. This is not a fair fight. These devices that our kids are using, they're persuasive by design. This is how the companies, the game developers, the app developers, they've developed them precisely so your kids have a hard time putting it down. You know, it's really simple. In order for a tech company to make any sort of profit, they need people to stay on the devices. So all their, you know, multi-million dollars of research and development are going into how to best manipulate your child into not putting that phone or that iPad or that tablet down. So when you tell Sarah or Sammy, okay, time's up, get off your device, and they act like they suddenly don't have the ability to hear you anymore, you got to remember, this is not your child's fault. This isn't a battle between you and your child. This is a battle between you and Silicon Valley, and the odds are always stacked up against you. So that was like, one of the main tenets of Carrots and Cake, is that we wanted to change the playing field. We wanted to empower families and parents to take back control of screen time, because we think screen time is important. I know, my kids need it for learning. I know I need it sometimes so I can cook dinner, so I can have a moment's peace. You don't want the kids like constantly, bugging you. I'm going to say it. That's one thing I always felt guilty about, but you need that alone time. And the key to it is creating some balance. Yeah. So like I said, we really felt like, kids need the technology. Their future is going to be based in technology, more or less in some way, I think. But how do you achieve that balance when it feels like whenever you set a rule or whenever the time is up, you're getting a lot of pushback. So Carrots and Cake aims to achieve balance. And one of the ways we do that is we want to exercise a child's brain before they get tempted by the lures of the internet. And our approach is working for kids who are battling screen time addictions. And it really works for kids who are younger, who you are giving a device to for the first time. So if you download Carrots and Cake on it, they automatically are expecting these limitations. They don't have any background to say, wait, but yesterday I was able to access the entire world, and now I can't. Because you got to remember, when you buy a device for your child, it's an adult device. It has adult settings, safety protocols, boundaries. They're all in place for an adult user, and it's not suitable to hand over to a child. So, just like when a parent prepares a dinner, this is how we came up with the name Carrots and Cake. You never serve, your plate of broccoli along a giant ice cream sundae, because your child is never going to have an idea of what broccoli tastes like, because they're only going to be digging in to the ice cream. And it's the same exact way if you just take an iPad out of the box and hand it to your child. Even if you downloaded every great learning app out there, you might have the best of intentions, but if you don't have the right safety protocols in place, you hand it over to the child, and they're never going to have the self-discipline to do Duolingo if they have access to TikTok. That's not how a child is built. It's not how a lot of us are built either. So we can't put the onus on the child. If we load everything side by side, that they're going to choose a learning app. The games, the Roblox, the Minecraft, they're always going to win out. So Carrots and Cake makes the device safe, and it works from day one toward building a child's resilience, grit, and restraint. It helps them understand boundaries and become more mindful and focused when they're going online. So how does Carrots and Cake work? So we're an app in the App Store. So you can put us on an iPhone, you can put us on an iPad. And when you download us, we get you started with a few learning websites that are appropriate for a child, your child's age. So we'll ask you how old your child is, and we'll preload these. Now, after the initial setup, you can go into the parent settings and you can change those learning websites or those learning apps to anything you want it to be. We're compatible with everything available in the App Store and any website. So, you personalize it so it works for your child and your family. Pick things like, for example, Duolingo, music lessons. If your school has websites that they send your child to, you can program it with those. I say learning apps, but we encourage a lot of non-learning but high cognitive activities like meditation and physical activity. And I should also point out that if some parents are just completely overwhelmed by the number of apps out there and websites out there that are supposed to develop your child's brain and give them a head start, If you don't know where to begin, we have lots of resources where we can, ask you what you're looking for and to point you in the right direction. So now when your child turns on their device, their iPad or their iPhone, everything will be locked down on it. All their apps, all the websites, the Safari, the App Store, everything will be locked down except for the learning activities that you've selected. Kids will get on and do those learning tasks for the amount of time the parent selects. And then when they finish those, we call them carrots. Those are the the apps and the activities that encourage the learning. When they finish those, then they go into cake time. So that's when the rest of the device completely unblocks. Kids get to experience the free time and maintain their agency, which is really important in that, family relationship. So they feel like they have their independence as long as they're doing what their parents have told them. And then when that free time is up, that cake time is up, the time is up. The device locks down again and for the rest of the day. So they can't be nagging you. They can't be saying, Mom, Dad, one more minute, one more minute. So you know what? We talked about this before. This is the amount of free time you have, and Carrots and Cake is over. So find something new to do. So, this approach, it might sound really simple, but it's actually grounded in science. When we developed Carrots and Cake, we worked together with some of the best behavioral scientists and psychologists in the United States and in Europe who specialize in children's addictive tendencies. By balancing the very approach to screen time, what Carrots and Cake is doing is helping kids avoid dopamine feedback loops. We introduce delayed gratification, and we counter the persuasive design of the apps that keep kids hooked. Other screen time controls, they put simple time restrictions on devices, and they fail to consider that how the device is used impacts kids' behavior. We want all kids to benefit from tech, but we don't want them to become digital zombies. The results of using Carrots and Cake means kids are more mindful and they're focused when they're using their devices. Learning is distraction-free. Stress levels are reduced because kids aren't receiving constant notifications and texts. They aren't staying up all night and looking at their device because now it's locked down outside of the allotted time they have. And what does it mean for parents? Well, parents can breathe a sigh of relief because they know that once Carrots and Cake is set up properly, kids are in a safe space where they can explore and they can play. I always liken this to, the playground, where if you take your child to the playground and there's a 20-foot wall built around it, you know that space is safe. You don't have to look over their shoulder once they're inside. Parents can get on and do what they need to do. We've been having a lot of success with Carrots and Cake. We launched a little over a year ago, and we've been getting press around the world. TechCrunch named us one of the top startups in the world last year. Digital experts and childhood specialists, they've been singing our praises about what we're doing, and they support Carrots and Cake. They know that it's really hard for parents to establish healthy tech boundaries in their families. There's games out there that they try to trick you into thinking that they're learning tools. And there are tech companies that say they're, offering parental controls, but they're really buggy and they reset with no warnings. And they're always really easy for kids to break out of. Probably, though, our best feedback and what's most important to us at Carrots and Cake is what we're hearing from parents and the support that they're giving us. Telling us that their kids are now rediscovering subjects like science that they used to love, but they kind of weren't focusing on anymore because now whenever they got their device, they were playing on Roblox and Minecraft. Now, because they have to have that learning time, they're rediscovering their love of other subjects. Parents feel confident that when they're away from work, they know that their child is home. When they get home from school, they're immediately going on their homework app because that's what opens when the child turns their device on. Parents aren't having arguments with their kids anymore when it's time to come off of screen time, and kids are building positive habits around screen time. That is our number one goal at Carrots and Cake. We want to elevate screen time, we want to empower families, and we want to put kids first.
So
Over
back
to you, Jessie.
Yes, thanks, Jack. So yes, I've learned so much from you, Meredith, and you got the point, like actually technologies are not all bad. Technologies could be good. And
right, it's all about balance.
Yes, it's all about balance. And with this digital era and with AI and everything coming up, like we cannot move back to, the pre-smartphone time. Technology is going to stay and you just have to figure out to live with it. And it's about empowering our children to use the screens for their passions, for their talent, to learn something, and even to empower them to use technology responsibly. And I think the
100%.
one part that I really like about Carrots and Cake is about the empowerment and collaborations. Have the communications with the child and rather just install the parental control, time's up, that's it. And there's no communications between parents and the child. And that's where the relationship strains. And it could get tough, especially when your child is growing older and moving into the adolescence phases. So
exactly, when the parent, when it's a one-way street and the child feels like it's just what the parent wants coming at them, that's what causes rebellious behavior and the fights and mistrust between the parents and the child. And that's what we really want to avoid. We want to make families stronger with this.
Okay, cool. So I would like to actually start by introducing myself again. My name is Jessie, and I will also want to actually start by say how do I actually got started, because my background is actually more to cybersecurity, and I know a lot about internet dangers and all that, and how do I actually start? So I spent more than 14 years working as a cybersecurity expert, helping big corporations to defend systems from cyber criminals. So when we actually talk about that, we really talk about like the successful hackers, intelligent hackers actually able to penetrate into million-dollar systems. We are talking about million-dollar systems and they're still able to break into the systems. So that got me really worried. And because of my background and knowing that these devices are addictive, I'm a computer science in background and my husband is working in IT. Both of us tried to delay technology use in our children. So we don't want to pass any iPad or tablets to my child, especially my oldest. However, when COVID came in March 2020, and we were locked down for almost 2 years, I know that I cannot delay anymore because the children has to be exposed to these devices so that they can continue their online learning, and it can't go out. So you can't go anywhere to, get them to spend some of their free time as well. And that's when I started to look for a way so I can parenting my children using these devices responsibly while building better connections with them. So share with me if you are same like me and Meredith, we actually battle with this, especially during the pandemic. And if you are, you can just type 2020 in the chat. So we know that, hey, we are on the same journey. Thanks, BB. Okay, so I saw that there's one actually replied that, oh, you actually, okay, so I got it. So why are we doing this review? So for me, I believe that every family deserves to be happy and every parent wants to build a deeper connections with their child. And I think it's the same vice versa as well. Every child wants the better connections with their parents. I believe that every parent should not fight with their kids over smartphones, gaming, social media, or even gadgets. And I believe that every child has the right to learn how to stay safe online. And you have to bear in mind that internet is not a safe place and it's also not designed for children. It's not kids friendly, if you want to actually put it in this way. The internet, when they actually start to build, is just for communications, to collaborations, and to use technology for the commercial purposes. So it's not, the design is not for kids friendly and it's not safe. And I think that is why we have to put our thoughts and how to think about how to get our children safe online as well. So how my clients benefit from this? So I was actually trying to struggle. I tried everything that I think of. I put in the parental control and I tried to resist. Trust me, I tried that. all I get is resistance and resentment from my elders, especially, you know, like I see the stare of her eyes, and I know, oh, she resents me. Then I know something is wrong. Then I start to put everything that I knew from mindfulness, conscious parenting, internet safety, and habits, and I closely study them. And that's where I found the answer. And seeing how the method I developed amazingly worked for my own family, I started helping many parents and helping them experience the same or even greater success I achieved. My clients now are happy and have peace of mind knowing their children can use tech responsibly and stay safe online. And they also have better connections with their child. And that's the kind of life I want for you. So here are some of the real case studies to show that this works. How we help Jenny, a mother of 13-year-old teenage son, to reduce her son's screen time from 8 hours a day to 3 hours a day in 1 month. And this is Jenny. So, and thank you for Jenny to, you know, showcase the testimonial. So I recall back when Jenny came to me. So this is how's Jenny's stories. So Jenny's sons, before he was exposed to the devices, he actually grew up when he was young. He grew up reading books, playing games, puzzles, and toy trains. But when the boy got an iPad and Nintendo Switch at the age of 12 because of his birthday present, he became addicted to gaming and watching YouTube 8 hours a day. And Jenny has tried everything from nagging, threatening, and even resort to take away the devices. And what shocked her was her son's behavior when she tried to take away the devices. He started throwing things, swearing, shouting awful stuff at her. And she was so scared because she felt that, oh, my son is only 12 years old. And I couldn't figure out how to deal with and fix his screen addiction. And she felt so helpless and have no idea how she could fix her son's screen addiction. And another problem is her sons also refused to connect with Jenny. He even regarded her as an outdated mom. And because of some of the family conflicts which has happened in the past, it has damaged the good relationship that she had with him when he was younger. And she also tried reading, going through the internet, watching YouTube, figuring out how are the other parenting advice, and none of them worked for her so far. So when she got to meet me and heard about our past case studies and experienced the work we drew through the Reduced Screen Times webinar, she knew we are the best options for her. The only concern she had is about her relationship with the son because it was so chaotic. So she was worried that she cannot do this because the relationship is not there. It was always fighting and resentment. But still, she took the leap of faith. And after working with us, working on her inner self and relationship with herself, and more importantly, working on her mindsets about parenting, how to communicate and rebuild a different kind of relationship with her teenage son. And now, her son has been open to reconnecting back with Jenny. And during our coaching, instead of reacting, we coach Jenny to respond better to help her sons to regulate screen time. You know, many of the times I find that a lot of my clients, what they did is they react whenever they say stop and the child. When you react, it's just pushing away and it's a lot of resentment. It's not going to work. What you need to learn is actually to learn to calm down and respond so that you can actually guide the child back and come back to the agreement and the boundaries again. Not only that, the gadget use was just reduced from 8 hours to 3 hours in just one month. And her son starts to show back interest in his reading, board games, toy trains, and spend time indulging in these hobbies as well. Not only that, the academic performance also improved significantly after the reduction of screen time. In short, after working with us, Jenny was able to stop her son's screen addiction, build a deeper connections with her son that lasts a lifetime, and also empower the sons to have healthier habits to do with his time and achieve better in life and school. So here is the second case studies that I would like to share with you to show that all these are working. So there are helps and there are ways you can learn to digital parenting your child. How Sarah's kids used to sneak at midnight to play computer games to overcome gaming addictions and reduce screen time of 2 hours a day without going through screaming and yelling. So when Sarah came to me, she was actually in a desperate place. What she found is she actually caught her daughter sneak at midnight to play computer games. And not only that, after going through all the laptops and everything, she even finds something is very distressing, which her daughter actually searching for super inappropriate things online. Which is start with P. And I guess that you will know all what is that means. And she just become freaked out and desperate. And she said, oh my God, I have to do something on this. If not, one day she will be addicted to porn. And not only that, her children actually spend 12 hours a day gaming, surfing the internet, and watching YouTube. And in the past, Sarah has to scream, yell, and take away the gadgets. And her children will also do the same, which is scream, yell, and try to fight back, which becomes a screaming and shouting match. Like I remember Sarah always tell them, this is not too good, which is always screaming and yelling. And in the past also, their daughters prefer to spend more time with the devices, and the longer they spend it, the more she wanted it. I remember one of the calls that she told me that, she already spent like 10 hours. And by the time she asked the daughter to put away and she felt that I still have not enough. I still want more. And she checked the screen time. Wow, it's already 10 hours. You still want more? Okay. So, but like I said, she know that she has to do something, because when she caught, sneaking at midnight to play computer games and searching for super inappropriate for things online, she know that I have to get in actions, do something, because before it's too late. And when she signed up for our coaching, during the coaching, we guide Sarah to set boundaries and have agreement on the technology use as a family. You want to actually set the boundaries and agreement as a family so that everybody has a clear communications and clear expectations on how the screen time would be in the family. And that makes things very easy, because, everybody have the same clear picture of what is expected. And it's just really talking about how we can actually meet that, rather than the child has one thinking and the parents have another thinking, and that's where the shouting match begins. We also guide Sarah to nurture healthier screen habits and other healthy habits as a family. And after working with us, screen use was reduced to 2 hours on weekdays and maximum of 5 hours on Saturdays. And Sunday is a screen-free day. And her daughters now know how to manage their time. They will complete all the basic responsibilities first before her computer games. And I think the screen-free, after one of the coachings, after a few months after the coaching, actually, her daughter was so proud that the Sunday is the screen-free day. And she even told, you don't need to contact me. Sunday is my screen-free. So we talk on Monday. And that's how she was actually communicating to her friends, and she was so proud about it. And the mother was like so thrilled and happy for it. And like the child actually appreciate that the Sunday is actually a screen-free day, which is I'm also very happy for them. And now Sarah and daughters do not argue, and they also have a deeper connections with her children. And one part is one time that Sarah daughter is also happily passed the devices to Sarah and wanted to spend more time, and they didn't find the devices attractive anymore. So I remember one time that, I think the youngest, she has not charged the iPad for so long, so many days. And it caught Sarah to be curious, hey, why are you not charging your tablet, Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't find it attractive. I'm looking forward to spend more time with mom. And wow, this is also a very good stories that I heard. And, she didn't want to just spend time with the gadgets anymore. So in Sarah's work, Jessie has rocked our world in one of the best ways with regards to screen time. And one of the best things I find working with Jessie is I have a better connections with my daughters than before. And I hope to keep her as long as my children use the gadgets. So in short, after working with us, Sarah has managed to instill healthy screen time habits in her children, have a better connection with her children, and able to reduce their screen time without screaming, yelling, or threatening to take away the devices. And She even pleased to find that her children even ditched their gadgets to spend more time with her. So, what are the common challenges parents have with their children? Before I move to these slides, if you have any challenges, I would like you to just type on the chat so that we know what are the challenges you find you have with regards with your child's screen time. So while you are typing, so let's move to the next one. So these are some of the posts that I found online, and these are the typical posts most parents will actually seek advice online on parenting forum. So this is a bit lengthy, so I've actually highlight the one that you want to read, which is my 14-year-old stepdaughter is not allowed to have Instagram. It's blocked from her phone. And the father actually found that she has an account that she uses from her friend's phone. So here's the part. You don't allow her? Never mind. I will use from my friend's phone. Okay. Have TikTok, but the rules have to stay private. That is very lengthy. And also the other part is after the father not aware, then she will change it back to public, and she just crave on all these strangers' likes and comments. And teenagers are very sneaky. Change her TikTok back to public. And whenever the fathers actually find out, tell her to change it back, she make up excuses or lie. So these are the typical stories that most parents post on the parenting forum. So here's another one. So here's the story. 8-year-old is extremely addicted to screens. We had to place firm limits as the more she has, the more she wants. And she will become highly aggressive and angry when we say stop. And when I say no, after trying to physically wrestle the iPad off me, screaming, getting more violent and angry at me. And this is also the typical stories that most parents actually post. And also the same stories that most people actually came to me when they have, we have to call with them. So what do you observe from these case studies? So if, just do a bit of reflections, a bit. So Tracy said, both parents are not working together. One parent encouraged limited screen time where children cooperates more with the parents. Yes, that's the great. Okay, so if you see from the case studies, the parents are limiting their screen time. So although yes, screen time to be limited, but it does not need to be doing the control and limiting the strategy. You can also limit by using empowering strategy. And that's the point. Because if you limit their screen time by using empowerment, it's working collaboratively with your child. And here, if you see the typical stories, the parents just use limiting and controlling screen time and just limiting their child's screen time. And it's getting tougher and tougher when your children is growing older or become teenagers, and it just becomes sneaky, trying to hide or lie about their stuff. And last, lack of trust and safe space communications. The parents don't trust the child don't trust the parents, which is not a very good family dynamics. And with so much happening online, we must know what is happening in the online world. Because like I said, the internet is not safe. What if they encounter some things online and they may want to talk to you, but because the children don't trust their parents, they refuse to talk to them. So here are the 3 common mistakes that parents make when it comes to the screen time. So it's always the parent limit and control their children's strategy and impose technology use rules to get your child to put away their tech devices. So I'm going to dive into these 2, okay? Because from the case studies, you can see that the control and limit strategy does not work very well. And like I said, you must actually change to the empowerment strategy. And usually one of the ways parents use to control and limit their child's screen time is laying down the technology use rules. Trust me, Jenny did it, Sarah did it, none of it works, okay? And let's discuss why these 2 are not working. Of course, if I would say that this may be also working when your child is younger, if let's say they are 4 or 5 years old, typically this style works. But when the child is growing older or perhaps growing into adolescent space, they desire more freedom and also discovering their own identity. I believe that controlling screen time does not allow for a safe space for communication and trust. And like I said, with so much happening online, parents need to be aware what is going on their children's online world. Many children do not tell their parents what is happening online world because they are just afraid their devices will be taken away. And maybe they have been contacted by online predators, watch adult content, or do something they learn online, which could be fatal. And there are a lot of stories about that as well. And a lot of children also lie about their screen time. And I want to actually point another good questions to you is, how long can you install the parental software? There are a lot of answers. Some say 13, because for US usually it's 13. And here in Asian, maybe, typical will be 18. You have to see that nowadays, not only children are addicted to screens, many young adults are also addicted to screens. So you need to guide, because if you don't guide them to nurture healthy screen habits in the beginning, they may just bring these habits into their adulthood, and they just continue to be addicted when they are in their adulthood. Imposing rules might work on short term, but it does not teach child how to self-regulate. They need to develop healthy tech habits, not just follow rules imposed from the birth. We need to nurture healthy screen habits in our children. Otherwise, like I said, they will just continue to have these unhealthy screen habits when they reach adulthood. This may impact their life, relationship, and careers too. And many parents find that the more they try to impose the rules, the children refuse to listen to them and break the rules. If the kids do not understand why rules are in the place, they are less likely to follow them. They need to grasp why behind these rules to buy into them. You need to work together with your children and get them buy into the boundaries and the agreement on the tech use. Strict rules can also lead to constant conflict, straining parent-child relationship. And strict rules can also create a forbidden fruit effect, leading to sneaky behavior and unhealthy relationship with screens. And I'm sure some of you came here is because you have discovered the more you try to control and limit your child's screen time, and the more they wanted their gadgets. And here's the reality. The more you limit your child's screen time, your child will see the screen as a scarce resource, and they want to have it more. And the energy also flows to where the attention goes. So whenever you focus on their screen time, your child's attention is also on the screen time. So both of it, your attention is also always on the screen time. So think about it. When you try to limit and control their screen time, your child will see it as a scarce resources. And when you ask them to stop, the more your child sees it as a scarce resource, the more he will defend from it taken away from you. And they will also become sneakier because they don't want to be nagged by their children. And they also crave their screen time more, the more the parents limit their screen time. This develops an unhealthy relationship with the screens. And another thing is kids are more often tech savvy than their parents. They can find ways around restrictions, making rules ineffective. They need guidance, not just rules, to navigate the digital world safely. So instead of limiting and controlling your child's screen time, we should develop healthy digital habits. Instead of imposing rules, focus on open communications, setting good example, creating a balanced tech environment. Help your kids understand why behind the tech use and involve them in setting the boundaries and the agreement around the technology use. Excuse me. This way, they need more give me. This way, your children will likely to develop good habits that stick. Lastly, parents anticipate the danger of internet and its impact on the internet, on the children. Okay, next. So what parents should do? First is parents need to nurture healthy screen habits strategy. Second, you need to set boundaries and have agreement on the tech use as a family. And third, you need to install parental control and have conversations on your children's digital world. So if there are three things that can actually take away from this, would be what are three mistakes that parents can make when regards to the screen time and what parents should do, which is nurture healthy screen habits, set boundaries and have agreement on tech use, and install parental control so that the device becomes safe for your children, and have conversations on their children's digital world. So what dangers does the internet hold for your children? So I actually come up with all this, so you can actually see that there is a lot of dangers, not just screen addiction. You may actually have cyberbullying, online predators. Actually, as at I think 2020, they already estimate that there's 500,000 online predators online every day targeting kids who are exposed to the internet, which is very alarming. Inappropriate content, a lot of contents online is not appropriate for the kids. Social media depressions, there are a lot of studies that, like the more children or especially girls exposed to Instagram, the more they feel depressed. And identity use and misuse of children's PII is personal identifiable information, which you may not see this at the moment, but they may have a bit of problem when they go out to work when they are 18, like their identity has been stolen, and, like they may have loan or credit card out there, and you have no idea why all this is happening. So you have to be very careful about the identity theft as well, even as they are so young. Negative social influence, bad digital footprint, and misinformation. So that's all. I'm not going to dive into all these internet dangers because we don't have much time for all these. And I think that Jack has also prepared some internet dangerous statistics. So I'll pass back to Jack.
Okay, thank you, Jessie. That was really, really interesting. So we have prepared some discussion points, which are very, very common questions that we receive at Carrots&Cake, and I think also Jessie receives as well. So one of the most common questions we come across is, our parents used to worry about screen time and we turned out just fine. Isn't this just the same? What do the both of you think about that, Jessie and Meredith?
Well, why don't I jump in, Jessie? You can drink a little bit of water. You did a great job talking us through all of those slides. And what I would point out to parents who think, oh, these are the same problems that we had when I was growing up, and my parents, and these we're looking at actually a whole new frontier. Because say we were addicted to like our Nintendos or the television shows we watched, we have to remember that one, nowadays, the devices are mobile. So kids can take them in the car with them, the bus with them, into school with them, onto the playground with them, in the bedroom with them, 24 hours a day. So the games, the endless scrolls, the Roblox, the Minecraft, kids are being, it's being hit at them at a 24-hour pace. And because of, I talked about research and development at these tech companies, the millions, the billions of dollars that are targeted at looking directly at what your specific child wants, what decisions they've made in the past online. They're anticipating what the child wants next. So the children are being manipulated in a way like never before. Even when it comes to advertising, I mean, my kids used to love to watch YouTube and these unboxing videos that were kids their own age, that were opening up new toys and playing with these toys. And I would have to try to explain what advertising is. And these kids are being paid by the companies that are sending them these toys. So, it's not all the same at all. And it's not just when I say big tech, but also like when you think about their exposure to their friends and friends being able to, get in touch with them and send them text messages constantly. Social media, seeing links of like a birthday party that they might not have been invited to. There's so many ways for kids to feel exposed and vulnerable, and we as parents have to protect them from that. One of the things you were talking about in those slides, about common things that happen in families, and people and families feeling like they're just fighting all the time, and not just arguing, actual physical fighting being escalated in this way. I think the important thing is for caregivers, if you're a mom and a dad, you guys need to talk together, figure out what's important to you, then talk to the kids, in a calm setting, listen to them. Why do they want to be online? What do they like to do? How long do we all think this is fair for? Because if you start putting the motions of setting a plan into place when everybody's calm and when everybody's, feeling happy, you're going to succeed much more frequently than when you wait until the problem has presented itself, when the child has been online too long and you're telling them to come off and they don't want to come off. They're arguing, you're arguing, and things just keep getting out of hand. You want to set these plans in place ahead of any of this ever happening.
How about you, Jessie? Any thoughts?
Yes, I do have. And I think you bring a good point, like the child and parents actually physically wrestle the iPad. And to be honest, I actually started this and see that this could be something that I can offer when one of my friends actually called me and say that she has to physically wrestle the smartphone from her 13-year-old son because of the gaming addiction. And that's really shocked me, because I didn't know that anyone would actually fight over because of the smartphone. And that's where I think that, oh, something is wrong. Then something that I can actually offer to the world. So come back to the questions. Our parents used to worry about the screen time. It turned out fine. And isn't it just the same? I will actually say that it's completely different nowadays. Back, if you remember when, the first iPhone came, who remembers when the first iPhone came? If you remember, can just type in. It's the year of 2005. Okay. And actually, the iPhone becomes the smartphone revelations. Like back then, it's also like the 3G actually starts to get, and the internet become more affordable. Like people starts to use smartphone and actually have internet access on the smartphones. And that's where the YouTube or Facebook, everything actually starts to actually came in and actually become like so big until today. So it's not many years ago. And if let's say you go back to the back, your time, your screen time is not so addictive. It could be TV. It's not that addictive. It's addictive, but it's not addictive that you can actually search. And the program is already also vetted by the media, all these TV stations. They already vetted media before they post it on the TV stations. It's not like anyone can actually post anything on the line, right? And also that all these billion-dollar industries is actually, they are not, if you see, YouTube is free, Facebook is free, Instagram is free, but they are worth billion. How come is that? How come is that when they are billion-dollar industries, when they charge nothing? Well, the answer is they have to keep the people to stay on the platform. And the way they generate the revenue is by advertising. The longer you stay, the more they make money. So in short, we are basically their product. We are the product.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So that's the point. And that's why they have to design to be very addictive. And sometimes people also ask, why can't they just do not so addictive? Well, if let's say that's the case, I will say that they have to be out of the industry. They have to close down the shop. Because it's not addictive, nobody wants to go there. And who's going to go for advertising, advertise on the platform? So, and that's where you have to understand that it's completely different back in nowadays. Even back in the late 2000s, you only have like computers, which is desktop, which is very big, laptop, which is so very big, it's not easy, and not every family can afford to have a desktop, and the internet is also super slow. It's not like nowadays you can stream a video.
Yeah, or when you send a text message, you had to press the keys on your phone to like 3 times to get the letter C. It gave people more time to think and delay, and just having that short little period of like static to think about what you're going to say, and you didn't send as many, and you were more thoughtful about what you would say. So that's all contributing to the problem.
Yes, yes, and the algorithm as well, because how they design is to be super addictive is they also look into your behavior. So like I said, everybody is looking at the habits. So my program is also about habits, but all this social media gaming is also looking into the habits. They do not create something out of nowhere. They also tap into the existing psychology and the habits of human. So it's basically the same.
Okay.
Yes, they also tap into that. They just use on what you have. Like you're bored. What we do? I'm boring. Click on my TikTok. Click on my YouTube. It's not like they create addictive, because they also create out of your psychology and your emotions. So I'm bored.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And for example, I am single. I'm looking for a partner. I'll go to Tinder. You swipe here, swipe there. You look for the gorgeous guys or gorgeous girl, whatever you want. Because
Right. And there's somebody else is on 24 hours a day. Like if you were a kid who was up late at night and you had a telephone in your bedroom, you couldn't call another friend at midnight or 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning because they were asleep. So then you went to sleep. Nowadays, somebody's always out there that you can communicate with. So it's very different nowadays.
Yes, that's the point. So we cannot take that, oh, it's the same screen time as past. The screen time nowadays is very addictive. It's completely different from the past. That's all.
Absolutely. That's a very good points you both shared. Let's move on to the next question. So to start off with, this is a graph from Common Sense Media, which is highlighting the percentage of kids who have seen pornography split by age. So what it's showing is a very high percentage of kids these days are coming across pornography from their friends or from online, and it seems to be growing year on year. In addition to that, the percentage of adolescent and preteen girls experiencing unwanted contact by strangers by platform, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, messaging apps, is growing year on year. These are massive, massive issues. So that brings me on to the question, what steps can parents take to mitigate the risks of harmful and explicit online content?
Well, I would say some of those numbers you just shared, while alarming, are also unfortunately probably conservative. I think probably the amount of kids, especially 10 and under, who have seen pornography online, sadly, is a lot higher. I think a lot of 10-year-olds aren't getting pulled by these people. But one of the first things I would say to mitigate the risk is to use a software like Carrots&Cake. When we're on your phone or your child's iPad, we're automatically preventing kids from going on to any sort of inappropriate sites, and we're also preventing any untoward material from popping up on their screen that they might accidentally click on, and then it throws them into an entire rabbit hole. Like I was talking to a mother who told me that her son clicked on something in a chat room, and because he ended up in some inappropriate site, now the algorithm was targeting him constantly. When you say, oh, I want to go to Mexico, suddenly all these advertisements for Mexico came up. Well, that's what happened on her son's device. And they couldn't get these pornographic companies to stop just sending images and links. And I think somebody in the chat, was it Jeff Viola, had mentioned that, why is it so easy for kids to set up social media accounts and get on these sites that are inappropriate for them? Is because, of course, it would be super easy for technology companies to figure out how old a kid is. We all have cameras on our devices. I think we're probably all using them right now. Most of them have some sort of fingerprint awareness as well. But all of these sites simply say, check the box, I'm over 18 or I'm over 21 or I'm not. So kids, it's such a simple thing for a child to get around if they're on an unrestricted device. And these companies, these social media companies, and all these companies that are generating revenue, they just want to expand their consumer base. So they have, if there's not like a law in place that's going to prevent them from allowing children onto the platform, then they're just going to do the minimal amount that they've that they are asked to do in order to prevent it from happening. And because it takes a long time for laws to catch up with what's going on in technology, and in different countries, there are different laws, we as parents, we have to be the watchdog and figure out how we keep our kids safe. And yeah, like I said, any sort of parental control that you might like to use, Carrots&Cake would be one of them, but we're going to prevent that stuff from getting onto your kid's screen.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good suggestions there, Meredith. Thank you for that. Just because we're running out of time a bit, I will move swiftly on to the next question. So in the recent book, The Anxious Generation, there were a series of graphs and data that were shared, which are quite alarming to parents these days. One of the major ones was the increase in depression amongst teens in the US, but also around the world, correlating to the smartphone takeover. So that leads me on to this question. What actionable steps can parents take to protect their children from mental health risks, especially in relation to screen time? Who would like to take this one?
Yeah,
Jessie?
I can take this one. So I think that the first thing is, you must have a good relationship with your child, and, have a conversations to know what is happening in their mind and in their heart. Because once you know what is happening in their mind and heart, you roughly know what is he or she thinking and what is he or she feeling at the time. And if you see that or you sense something is wrong, that's where you can actually step in and have the conversations, to help him how to, boost up or maybe change his mindset or about something as well. Like, I think that a lot of girls, they are depressed because when they're exposed to social media, there's a lot of body shaming as well. Like, you need to be certain type of beauty in order to consider that you're worthy. And that's where not even girls, I think even adults, especially ladies, they also felt the same. Right? So another one is really about having the balanced screen time. I think technology is not bad at all. They are not completely bad. There is the bad side, but there's also good side. So you want to nurture to use the good side and, get away the bad side. So that's where you need to nurture good screen habits. When they find that they have a balance and, they find that, actually the outside world is more interesting more than the screens, they will just automatically ditch the screens. I remember sometimes when I was also busy, we have PS5 as well. So my son will tell me, yes, PS5 is fun, but actually I'd rather go out if we could. So if given opportunity, my 10-year-old son, 11-year-old son will say, I would rather go out to experience ourselves, go out, go to the park, go to some theme park, or maybe go to a waterfall or whatsoever to experience the real life rather than just gaming on the PS5.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what you're saying, Jessie, I think that if you're a family that really like technology is just in your home, you work from home, the kids are on devices, you're on devices, you're in a pandemic where everybody has to be on device, it's important to set a few ground rules and say things like, okay, well, the dinner table is a device-free spot. A child's bedroom is a device-free spot. And rather than that actually putting a limit on a child, it can be very freeing for them to put that device down and feel like they're not being controlled by little beeps and alerts and notifications that are coming through, and having to feel as if they need to give it their immediate attention, because that's sort of something that happens, I think, to all of us. And that can really hurt our mental health. Is you're having fun with your family and then suddenly beep or buzz, something happens in your pocket and you feel like, oh, I need to give this person my immediate attention. I interrupt this fun time, this free time that I'm having. So really making sure you carve out portions of your day and portions of your home can help alleviate stress in kids.
Yes, that's a good point. Actually, it's also about setting boundaries, like not, if I want to actually put like more simplified way, right? We actually need to set boundaries in all areas of our life. Like because people see boundaries, they feel like, oh, this is not good. This is, like this is the rule, this is the box. kind of that. But actually setting boundaries is for your own good, for your health as well. Like if I say that the food, if we don't set boundaries with our food, right, what will happen? You will just start eating
I
things
know
that you
too
like.
well what'll happen.
Yeah, you'll get fries, you got the, like the Coke, like the chips, the fried stuff, the, whatever things that is very unhealthy. You will not actually go
Yeah.
and get your broccoli.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, so precisely. So in order to be healthy, you also need to set boundaries with your food. Like it's just that food you have to eat every day. So it's a common sense that everybody knows that, oh, okay, I need to set boundaries with the food. But screen time is the same. It's just that nobody teach how to set the boundaries. And that's why people have no idea that, hey, how do I set boundaries on the screens? And that's where parents need to come in and actually really learn about this and how to set boundaries. Model it for yourself first, and then model it for your child and guide your child how to set boundaries on the screens.
Absolutely. Again, very, very good points from you both. Thank you so much. I think now would be a perfect time to jump into some Q&A. I can't see the chat, but has anyone sent any messages so far?
Yes. I think Azahar actually posed like 2 questions. Number 1, how do you navigate the conversations about online safety and privacy with your children?
Yeah. How do you navigate well, I think like we talked about earlier, that's just something that you should, first of all, make sure you're on the same page with your partner so you can have a united front when you speak to your kids. And then make sure you put your listening ears on when you sit down in a calm, safe space, in a fun place, maybe a restaurant or a park, or you're out for ice cream. So you want to approach the screen time question as, this is something about our life that we want to talk about. It's important to all of us. This is why it's important to me. Why is it important to you? What do we think is a fair amount of time for you to be online? If you go over that time, what do you think should happen? What should be the repercussions? And make these plans and let your child know that you're excited. One of the things we do at Carrots&Cake is we send a parent an email update to let them know what activities their kids have done online. So maybe in their cake time they did go on Roblox or they went on Minecraft, and maybe you have no idea what those things are. Well, they're fun for your kids and they're important for your kids, and I think they are okay if they're balanced. So we give you some questions like, here, this is what Roblox is. Here's some questions at dinner time tonight. Maybe you could ask your child about them. And I think that really helps the family dynamic when you can both be engaged in, what the children are doing online. What I really actually dislike though is when, these experts tell you, well, okay, this is how much time this age child is appropriate for them, and this is for this child, and but above all of that, you always have to be watching your child and know exactly what they're up to on time. And I think the reality of that situation is just none of us are able to stand over our child and look over their shoulder and see what they're doing online. We have to be at work. We might have to have a work trip where we're gone for days or a week at a time. We have to go to the grocery store. We need to instead put up some boundaries so we know the kids are in a safe space. We know what they're doing online, generally, and we know that it's safe. But we can't know the minutia of everything they're getting up to. And that's really an unfair onus that we put on parents. And that's when, the parents start to feel like they are failed, and that raises their anxiety, and the kid doesn't come off when they say it's time, and that raises the anxiety. And that's when things really devolve.
Excellent. Do we have any more questions that have come through so far?
I think there's another questions, but I think that I want to actually address about navigate the conversations about online safety and privacy with your children. I think the first important things that you must have is the trust and safety communications. If you're still struggling about the screen time, I should have more, you should have less, then to be honest, it's very hard to address the online safety and privacy conversations with your child, because they are just closing their ears and they don't want to listen, because they know that, oh, you come here, you're going to control my screen time again. And that's what on their mind. And that's the reality that we have to understand. So I think the first thing that I would actually do is I will make sure that I have that relationship first. I build the trust and communications, and I start to have set the boundaries and agreement on screen time so that we are on the same page. And when that happens, I will start actually moving into the online safety. And for example, sometimes it's not that hard to understand. Like, for example, I can give you, don't talk to strangers. I know we always thought our kids, don't talk to strangers on the physical world. Okay, if any strangers come to you, don't talk to them. What about online? Can we talk to them? So it's also about, like, bringing, the context, whatever happening, if you feel safe online, in the offline, in the physical world, don't talk to strangers. You will not talk to strangers online because you have no idea who they are. I can tell you.
We have a question from Kelly Armstrong, who says that she's a teacher and the only thing she hears about at school is Roblox and TikTok and YouTube, that it's just exhausting to hear about it. And her daughter is 10 years old. She's also one of Kelly's students. I don't allow her on any of the programs, but she does get on her dad's. As a 10-year-old, she's opened up to me about feeling addicted when online. And I think that really brings up something interesting, because there's a lot of kids from divorced families, and they have, they're spending time in multiple homes, and there's different rules in different homes. And how do you maintain consistency in, what's important to you and your screen time rules when your child spends time in somebody else's house and their rules are very different? Or even going to a friend's house. Somebody else mentioned on the link that, like, their parents, back when we were kids, would say, no Atari, no Nintendo, so they would just go over to their friend's house. And also, like, something I hear a lot when people talk to me about this is they get their kids' devices earlier than they would normally do if they're in like multifamily homes, because that's the only way they can then communicate with their child. So they feel this necessity to get the device, but then they don't know how to maintain, their screen time goals with the child when the child's not at home. So I think that's a really big issue for a lot of families. For me, again, I would say, if you set up Carrots&Cake, like, in terms of, what the child's doing, that they're doing their homework, they're doing their learning, and there's a set amount of learning time and a set amount of free time that they're spending on it. So that kind of is doing the parenting for you, at least on your child's device. But maybe, maybe they have a stepbrother or sister who has a device. It's a challenge. I don't know, Jessie, what do you have to say about that? When people are in multiple homes and they have different rules, how do you maintain a consistency?
I think this is a challenge, and I do work with some of the parents, they are single mom because they are separated, and it definitely is not easy. But I think that the first thing is, if possible, is actually have that expectations and communications with your ex-spouse so that both of you on the same page. But of course, sometimes it could be very hard because, that's why, sometimes the separation happens and, it's not in a good condition.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you're disagreeing on purpose with the other one just because you don't want to agree, or you're like, that they don't want to, if you don't want to let the child use the cell phone, then they do want to let the child use the cell phone because then the child gives them their affection and their love.
Yes,
it's really tricky.
Yes, it's really tricky. But like I said, if you're willing to do the work and at least model it and do, set the boundaries, have the communications. And actually, when you start increase your influence as a parent, your influence could be higher than your ex-spouse. The child tend to listen to you. So I've also worked with one of the moms. She's separated, and one of the key things that why she was separated is because that her ex-husband is also addicted to gaming. So she was always on the gaming, and it's like, what am I doing here? And that's where it is one of the matters, not like 100%, but it's one of the matters that got them divorced. And whenever she see the child is on the gaming, she just got triggered so much. And then when she's, like the boy is like 13 and she know like, oh, I have to do something because if he's move into teenager, it's going to be harder. And that's when she started to work with me and work on herself. And you see that the influence actually increased so much. And now, when he back at his mom's house, he don't really touch the phone immediately. He will actually go and play with her little brother. fighting on the sofa and all that. And he will even play guitar. And to our surprise, this boy even know how to rap, which we didn't know at all. We say, hey, we didn't know you have this talent. And because he started to be conscious and you really want to spend more time, like productively with the mom, engage and build the connections, all this starts to actually flow in. So like I said, even if you are in a difficult situation, if you really need help, reach out for people and you can actually get this done. Because I've actually seen some of my parents that work with me, they are also single mom, they are separated from the spouse, and it's not easy to work, and I understand that.
Speaking of, these connections, Azahar posted another question. There's how do you use parental controls without breaking trust? And I think that is super, super important because so many of the parental controls do seem to be monitoring software that's sending you, it's either mirroring your child's device so you can see exactly what they're up to and who they're texting and what these emails are saying, or it can be alerting you to certain words or threats that are coming through. And while 100%, I do believe that this is, it's important to be on top of things. Also, there is a degree of freedom that I think children need to be able to maintain for themselves as well. So again, like everything else on the topic, it's quite tricky, and it's like figuring out where you can draw a line. And I think it kind of changes with age. So like for Carrots and Cake, we were designing that when our kids are small, and I think it really works great from kids starting out on a device up until about age 12. It gets harder when kids are like 13, 14, 15, really getting involved in social media. But like at least in terms for our app, we always say Carrots and Cake is a parental collaboration app more so than a parental control app, because we're about like supporting the dialogue in the family, sending parents different questions and strategies for how they can bring up these topics with their kids, making sure everybody's on board on the same page. But it does get tricky when they get older, and you don't want to damage the relationship with your child by making them feel as if you're spying on them. So I think that's one of the reasons like we're having this conversation about building healthy habits so you can then trust your child to make better decisions as they get older. So when your child turns, say they go off to school by themselves and they're doing the grocery shopping, to use the analogy you used earlier, you just have to hope that you gave them healthy ideas, that they're not going and buying potato chips and sodas and chocolate bars, and instead, they're buying the apples and the broccoli and getting a balance in the diet, just like on their screens.
Okay, excellent points. Brilliant points from you both. I think Confidence raised his hand. I think Confidence had a question. Confidence, would you like to unmute yourself and ask? Or if you prefer, you can. Oh,
I'm
excellent.
unmuted. Okay. Good morning. I'm sorry, I can't put up my camera. It's early hours here in Nigeria. I'm calling in from Nigeria. So thank you for this amazing section, insightful and very, very educational. So I have two questions, one for Meredith and one for Jessie. For Meredith, the Carrots and Cake app, how inclusive is it for children that are differently able? Can they be able to use it? That's my question. Then secondly, for Jessie, talked about something like strangers, telling our kids not to talk to strangers. How do we tell a child who over time has met a lot of strangers online, and these strangers haven't been bad actors to them, they have been very nice people to them? How do you tell a child who has over time made very nice connections, very good people who were initially strangers and eventually became very good friends? How will you tell such a child that they shouldn't talk to strangers online? How would you change that narrative for that child in case the next stranger they are going to meet is going to be a bad actor or someone who wants to prey on them? So those are my questions.
Okay, well, to answer your question about kids of different abilities and how they would be able to get if they would be able to use Carrots and Cake, 100% yes, they can. We even have, like if there aren't already apps that you're using or websites that you're using, we have a section where we talk about kids who are neurodiverse and different apps and activities that would be good for them to use as their carrots in their carrot time. We have a little AI bunny that we use that's sort of a really good introduction to kids in terms of AI, that they can either type questions in or talk to the bunny if they're too young to be able to do that, and ask questions. And we have lots of controls because kids love to ask inappropriate probing questions to bunnies, it turns out. But they can help you along with questions that you have, or activities you might want to do. So I would say that, Carrots&Cake is very easy to navigate. We started out with the idea of building it for very young kids as an introduction into how to safely get online and stay safe while you are online. And we've been trying to slowly roll out some more interesting things. Like recently, we have a little game with our bunny who's called Nibbles, where the child uses their finger on the phone or the iPad to sort of take them through a forest. And every time they see one of their friends having a bit of trouble, like maybe, there's a puddle in my way, or I need to cross this bridge, then that's when their learning activity comes up. And we found that kids are finding that a lot more engaging too. So you should definitely try downloading it from the App Store. It's free to try, and feel free to reach out to us, email us. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you for listening this late in Nigeria. That's amazing. Thank you, Confidence. Jessie?
Hi, Confidence. So to answer your questions, right? Yeah, it's actually quite tricky, especially when, if your child have not met any strangers, so it's actually easy to tell them not to meet strangers, and you can actually prevent that. But I think that most importantly is actually really having the influence. So, as they grow older, your influence getting less and less. But if let's say you always have the strained parent-child relationship, it's going to your influence is very, very little. You get what I mean? So when you need to increase your influence so that your child can take, because especially if I'm not sure about how old is the child, but if let's say the child is in the teenagers, you don't want to spoon feed. You want them to think on their head. Like, you want to nurture the critical thinking right now. Because they have to think, like you can't spoon feed until like 18 and then suddenly ask them to become adult. Okay. So when your influence is higher and you actually tell them the facts, and they will actually, if you have been like really nurturing the critical thinking, they will be able to think and okay, so if they trust you, then your influence is higher and they will actually make sense to you. Another point that I remember, this is a way that, because I hope on one of the podcasts with one of the guy called Mike, he's also a technical person, which I appear on his podcast, and surprisingly he said he demo. But this is because he's a tech guy as well. He actually demo and he created a fake profile and actually show, okay, would you know that this fake profile, is it me? Is it an adult or is it a child? And it gets his child to think, okay, I want to know who is this person. I can put a Meredith, like maybe I can put Jack's face there, but back behind would be, someone from somewhere else. You have no idea.
Yeah, really good points again. Wow, fantastic. We are running out of time, but it's been a really, really interesting presentation for myself. I hope everyone else has really enjoyed it also. So Jessie, would you like to just finish with the key message?
Yes. So I think the key message here is we need to accept that technology will stay, and it is time to guide our children to use them responsibly and stay safe online. So if everything you get from this is the key message we want to bring to you, and you have to actually take this and really think, how can we guide our children instead of just impose the screen time, impose the rules, and that's it. You need to guide them to use it responsibly and stay safe online. Nurture healthy digital habits.
Perfect. So if you would like to try out.
Yeah. So if you want, you can actually try Carrots&Cake today for free, and you can actually scan the QR code right now. So maybe we give like 30 seconds before we move to the next one.
Yeah,
so anyone
absolutely.
of you who are interested to try the Carrots&Cake, it's free. So just download and try it on your own. without then actually try on your child's try on your child's devices.
Yeah, and you can also find it in the App Store if you're having any trouble scanning the device. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning, like it is for confidence, and maybe you don't have your phone out to do that, yeah, just Google Carrots&Cake in the App Store, and it'll take you there.
Yes, and I believe that later we will also send, you know, like what are the things that you know, like to you guys, so that you can actually you know, scan the QR code, or if you guys think that you need additional help, you can actually book a free 30 minutes clarity call. We can have a chat for us to find out what are the challenges you have, and if we have the ability to meet your needs. And basically this is QR code to scan, and if you, this is the link below, which is the calendly.com/JessieLiew/apply. So it's completely free. Come jump into 30 minutes with me, and then I'll just talk about your challenges, and we'll actually share with you what we can actually help you.
Excellent. Everyone who has attended today, we can share these links with you later. So you can also book a call with Jessie, or you can download the app. If you want to find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, you can just search for Carrots&Cake and you'll find us. You can send us a message, or you can contact us at support@carrotsandcake.com. Again, all this information will be shared with you at the end of this webinar, in addition to a recording of the talk we've had today.
Okay, so you can actually find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And my handle is actually very simple, Jessie Liew SP. Okay, you can actually connect with me and also drop me a message on Messenger, LinkedIn, or Facebook, or even Instagram. And my website is actually www.neverfightwithyourkids.com. And if you want to email me, then you can just email me at jessie@neverfightwithyourkids.com.
Fantastic. So I think that's it. If Jessie and Meredith, if you have any final last words for everyone.
I'm so honored that so many of you decided to spend your precious time with us today. This was really fun for me to talk with you, Jessie, and to share some hints on how to make our kids better digital citizens.
Yes, me too. And really thank you. Like, I'm surprised that, you know, like when Confidence actually say that, oh, it's 3 a.m. and you actually take the time, you know, to spend, and even not
Amazing.
3 a.m. I'm some of you are actually from United States, and I know that it's actually late night at your side, and instead of like sleeping or maybe resting, you choose to, you know, tune to this webinar and show up and actually ask a lot of questions. And I really have a lot of fun time answering all these questions. And I know that we are all here. We want to make big difference to our children's life. We want them to use these technologies and able to grow into healthy children and happy children.
Yeah, please, everybody, feel free to reach out and continue the dialogue. That's what it's all about.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I hope you have a great morning or a great evening. Everyone who has attended will receive an email after this with all of the links we shared previously, so you can contact us. And also we will send you the recording of this webinar as well. Thank you so much. I think that's a wrap. Thank you, Jessie. Thank you, Meredith. It was a really interesting conversation. I learned a lot.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.